A man is dead, a woman injured after a shooting in Beloit. How neighbors are reacting after the deadly incident. Staying active during the winter months, how one Wisconsin camp is giving people with disabilities a chance to better their physical and mental health. And fighting food insecurity during the holidays, the rise in food distribution being seen by a Madison food bank. We welcome you to News 3 Now at 6. And we begin with breaking news. CBS sports broadcasting legend Greg Gumbel has died at the age of 78. Gumbel was the studio host for CBS's men's college basketball coverage and was a play-by-play broadcaster for the NFL on CBS until 2023. He passed after a battle with cancer. Greg Gumbel is survived by his wife Marcy and daughter Michelle. Well, now to the deadly shooting in Beloit. A man is dead, a woman injured after shots were fired last night. Our Tenacia Shaw spoke to a neighbor that heard the shooting.
All of a sudden, I just heard bang, 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 and it was a whole series of them. I jumped up. I kind of looked out the door, and my son came downstairs. Get out of the door. There's something going on.
Richard Wyman and his family ducked for cover after hearing more than a dozen shots fired Thursday night.
I would say 15 to 20. Yeah, it was a lot.
Beloit police confirmed a man and woman shot. The man died shortly after first responders got to the scene, and the woman is expected to survive.
It's a little traumatic. It kind of shakes you up a little bit.
Neighbors say that the shooting happened on this block of Oak Street. Now, Beloit police are asking anyone with any information or Ring camera footage to give them a call.
Well, that happened, I guess, between 7:30 and 7:45, and they were out here till at least after 4 in the morning. Well, they were all over checking. People have cameras to see if they caught anything on cameras.
Wyman moved to the neighborhood a few months ago and said the situation is rare.
Always quiet, just quiet. Nice neighborhood. Oh, you'll always see kids out here playing.
Now he plans to be more cautious.
Gonna keep my eyes open a little wider here, you know. I mean, I don't know how long we'll be here, but yeah, I'll keep my eyes open now, for sure.
I reached out to Beloit police and asked if there are any suspects and if police arrested anyone. Officials say they can't confirm or deny any additional information right now. Reporting in Beloit, Tenacia Shaw, News 3 Now.
As Tenacia mentioned, Beloit police are asking for witnesses to speak out if you heard or saw anything near that shooting site in Beloit near Oak Park on Thursday night. You're asked to reach out to the Beloit PD. A Milwaukee man is accused of murdering a woman and injuring another in the state of Kentucky. According to the state police there, troopers were called to a home in Springfield for reports of a shooting. That's about an hour southeast of Louisville. Police found a 31-year-old woman dead in the home. A 52-year-old woman was injured. Through their investigation, officers say they identified this man, Roosevelt Davis, as a suspect. Now, police found Davis driving a vehicle and arrested him. Davis told investigators he had robbed a bank in Milwaukee and then drove to Kentucky with the purpose of killing the two women. He is charged with murder, attempted murder, and burglary. The rain set to steadily come down for the rest of the night. A mild weekend ahead. Alex joins us now with more on the First Warn forecast.
Eric, perfect segue here. Look at our sky cam here at the Capitol. I mean, this sums it up right now. You can reduce visibilities, raindrops all over our First Warn weather cam, and that's the way it's going to be all night tonight, with rainfall steady throughout the entire night across southern Wisconsin. Right now here in Dane County, you see those steadier showers trying to make it into the rest of the county. A little bit more steady shower activity entering areas over towards Perry and Mount Torah. As we plan our evening, those showers will become steadier and steadier as temperatures stay in the low to mid 40s all the way when you join us at 10 o'clock, going into the early morning hours as we see the showers start to become a little bit more intermittent. If we can get some breaks, the fog then will develop over portions of southern Wisconsin tonight. I'll show that coming up in Maine weather, where I think the fog chances are going to be the highest tonight, and then again as we go into tomorrow night. Mild overnight low temperatures. If we don't fall below 43 degrees, we're going to break a record warm low set for this date, which was 39 degrees to my understanding. So the shower activity steady over southwestern Wisconsin, inching its way towards Dane County, and it will make it into southern Wisconsin and move across the rest of the area overnight tonight. Current visibilities, we have 3 at the airport right now, 2.5 in Mineral Point, 2 in Boscobel, and 2 in Janesville. Half a mile visibility in Monroe. Coming up in Maine weather, though, we're going to also be using Future Track to not only track our showers, but also track our visibilities over the course of the next 24 to 36 hours.
Alex, thank you. And winter weather can pose challenges for us all, especially here in Wisconsin, where snow and ice can stick around for months. But for those with disabilities, the wintry weather can be a real barrier in everyday life. Camp Wabeek in the Wisconsin Dells provides year-round camps for children and adults with physical limitations. Director Carly Fosco says when outdoor obstacles keep people inside, their mental health can also struggle.
You know, a lot of times people with disabilities don't go outside as much because of those barriers, like not having the access to plowing or having somebody available to shovel a pathway for them. So just making sure that you're checking in on them.
And Fosco says while many of us can participate in winter activities like skiing, for example, snowboarding, ice skating, those are largely inaccessible for those with physical disabilities, making it even more important to look out for friends and family members left out of that fun. Wisconsin River Power Company reminding people to practice safety as it begins its nearly drawdowns at its hydroelectric power plants. The reservoir at the Petenwell Dam will be lowered on January 1st, while the Castle Rock dams will start to draw down on February 1st. Now, a drawdown can create some thin ice conditions on those flowages, and the company says people should avoid driving on the ice. Bring a cell phone to contact 911 in the event of an emergency and stay outside buoy lines. The Dane County Traffic Safety Commission is urging motorists to drive sober or get pulled over. So far this year in Dane County, 16 people have died, 256 were injured in impaired driving crashes. Over the last 5 years, there were nearly 1,100 impaired driving crashes, resulting in 74 deaths and over 1,300 injuries.
Let that sink in. That's leaving empty chairs for families, holidays, birthday celebrations, and times together. And that's because of alcohol and drug-related crashes in our community.
The police say if you plan to celebrate New Year's, identify a sober designated driver, contact a family member, call a taxi or rideshare. If you do suspect a driver is impaired, you're asked to call 911 and provide as much detail as possible about the driver, the vehicle, and the location. The holidays are a time for togetherness and celebration, but rough weather across parts of the country is delaying flights. Outside Houston, residents watched as a possible tornado made its way across a lake. Meanwhile, a storm system heading to the northeast, keeping holiday travelers on the lookout for more delays and canceled flights. Many flyers say they're just hoping for the best.
It's been pretty stressful and we're just trying to get home.
It's been a bit busier than we expected. My mom and stepdad made sure we got here early enough to avoid any congestions.
So far, so good. Yeah.
We'll see what happens in security.
Yeah, we'll see.
And AAA advises drivers to wait until bad weather passes before they hit the road, allow plenty of time for a safe trip. National Retail Federation predicting nearly $900 billion in goods will be sent back this holiday season, meaning shopping centers are still feeling the rush. Last year, e-commerce items were the most likely to be returned, which means the holiday season lasts a lot longer than you might think. The FedEx shipping hub in Anchorage, Alaska is running around the clock, sorting up to 80,000 packages a day.
The return rush is a period of time where people still have some anxiety that they want packages sent back and they need our help in getting those back to the stores.
And before you send back those unwanted gifts, shipping experts recommend doing your homework as return policies may vary by retailer. The holidays can be a tough time for many people, especially those dealing with food insecurity. Second Harvest Food Bank says it is seeing record numbers of food distribution compared to pre-pandemic levels. Partners with the organization are seeing 20 to 40% increases in the number of people walking through their doors. And in 2024, the food bank has distributed more food than ever in its history, with 2025 looking to continue that pace.
The reality is we need people to step up even more because a lot of the funding that we got over the last couple of years for pandemic related funding has now essentially gone away. And so those were millions of dollars that were put towards putting food and locally sourced food onto the tables of folks right here in southwestern Wisconsin.
Second Harvest adds there's generally a food pantry in about every community, and the organization recommends people to reach out to their local emergency food provider and ask how they can help out. Well, when we come back, a new report shines a spotlight on the rise of homelessness across the country, and state lawmakers are preparing for next year's session to begin. What Assembly Speaker Robin Vos had to say about spending surplus funds.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
With the end of the year upon us, political reporter Will Keneally sat down with state lawmakers at the Capitol. It's part of a series of year-end interviews, and Will joins us now with more.
Well, Eric, one thing that you'll hear me talk about at length next year is this thing called the budget surplus. Now, that's a pool of unspent money that the state government has. Think like couch cushion money, for example. Now, Wisconsin has a record-setting amount of that money to spend. We asked lawmakers as part of our interviews what their plans are for that chunk of change. Now, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos says part of why that surplus is so high is because Governor Evers has vetoed GOP tax cuts.
The vast majority of the money is still sitting in the state's treasury. I think over half of the money is the result of those vetoed tax cuts. So my idea is to take that off the table. We're going to try to get those passed early in the session. So before we even start the budget, that money's gone.
Now, this is actually pretty interesting. Let me point out what the speaker is saying here. Now, 2025 is a big year financially. That's because when lawmakers set the state budget, that is when lawmakers set the state budget. So Vos is saying that he wants last year's money to stay last year and not get lumped in this next year's money. Now, the budget process, it starts in late February with the governor's budget address, ends in late June, and he wants to get that done before this process starts in late February, so they're going to have to work lightning fast to get that done. Now, that's all on the Republican side. What about Democrats?
What we saw last session was Republicans try time and again to pass a tax cut that benefited primarily the wealthiest Wisconsinites. It's not something we're interested in.
Now, depending on who those tax cuts impact, Democrats might not be on board, but Republicans are in the driver's seat, so with the majority, we don't expect Democrats to have much of a say next year. Now, you can see more from our interviews coming up this Sunday at 10:30 on For the Record.
All right, Will, thank you. Homelessness appears to be surging across the United States. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development reported more than 771,000 people were living without housing this year. That's up 18% from last year. Experts blame the increase on high housing costs, stricter local laws, and natural disasters. Veteran homelessness, however, bucked the trend and continued to fall, with an 8% drop this year reaching its lowest level on record. A number of specific communities also saw a drop, including Los Angeles and Dallas. The mystery is deepening over the crash of a passenger airliner in Kazakhstan, killing 38 people. Now, Russian officials blame the crash on a bird strike, but aviation analysts say birds don't fly at the altitude that the initial damage occurred, and some survivors reported hearing an explosion over an area known for clashes in Russia's war with Ukraine.
Ukrainian drones were active at the time, and this is commensurate with everything we've seen in the pilot's communication with air traffic control. But the most likely hypothesis we see is that it was struck by an air defense missile, almost certainly Russian.
Now, these clues recall the Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 crash. That's when Russian-backed forces shot down the passenger jet over eastern Ukraine. That was in 2014. It killed all 298 people on board. After the break, Alex rejoins us to tell us about some colder temps coming in the new year. Plus, looking to lose weight in the new year, what doctors say is enough exercise that you can see meaningful changes. That's next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
There's new advice for millions looking to lose some weight in the new year. The Journal of the American Medical Association looked at more than 100 clinical trials and found at least 2.5 hours of moderate to higher intensity aerobic exercise per week may help lead to a meaningful decrease in weight, waist size, and body fat.
You also need to get your heart rate up high enough. So when they say moderate exercise, they're talking about getting to 50 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. Strenuous would be 70 to 85% of your maximum heart rate.
The doctors say you can estimate what your maximum heart rate is. It's 220 minus your age, but you can also find online calculators to help with that. And if you plan on making a New Year's resolution, how about choosing one that'll help your brain? Doctors say crafts like knitting, painting, and pottery can actually bring you some peace. The National Endowment for the Arts Agency says if you're looking to start a new hobby in the new year, experts say to tune into your creative side.
First of all, think back to what interested you as a kid and lean into that. Try new things with a positive, open mind, and do be patient with yourself. You don't have to be great at this or even good at this to get the benefits.
Experts say there are other crafts that can help promote mental well-being, including crocheting, designing photo books, and adult coloring books. A steady stream of rain will stick with us through the night. Alex joins us when we might dry out.
Yeah, not snow at all. Rain for the entirety tonight. That's part of the 3 things you need to know. Scattered showers on and off all night. They will end as we go into Saturday morning. I'll show that here in Future Track in just a moment. Just a tiny chance of a rain shower as we go into Sunday, and a really good chance that cold air arrives in 2025. And I'm going to show you also as we transition whether or not we'll have some snow or a weather system to help us with that transition to colder weather. Right now on our first one weather cam here, obstruction here as you look at our capital. It's a bit foggy out there. We got raindrops falling to the ground here in the center part of Dane County. They've slowly been working their way towards the east. That steady rain shower activity that really has been focused over southwestern Wisconsin for a good portion of the afternoon. As we plan the rest of our evening, staying right at 43 degrees. Mind you, our normal high is about 29 to 30 degrees, so we are way north of that as those showers become more widespread. Here's a more concentrated area of showers over southwestern Wisconsin, and we'll use Future Track to show you how widespread things here. It's green from west to east by the time you join us at our 10 o'clock newscast. Also getting a bit on the breezy side as this weather system then will exit Lone Rock, Dells, Richland Center, Camp Douglas, who still may have a shower at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. If we're lucky, I'll be optimistic, we might get a peak or two of sunshine before the clouds fill back in the form of another type of cloud, fog, as we go into Saturday night. Overall amounts 1/4 to 1/2 inch across all of southern Wisconsin, better or higher amounts to the north and west of Madison. Visibility out there, though, is something that we're going to have to contend with as well after a very warm day, mid to upper 40s across all of southern Wisconsin. As we look at our other cams, which we can show you the weather here, Platteville right now, notice some fogginess or at least a little bit of reduced visibility. And then in Dodgeville as well, a little bit difficult. Just look off to the side here by the lights. You notice the travel on the road over here in the southwest side of Dodgeville. Just a little bit of fog out there, and we'll be using our cams throughout the next couple of days to track our visibility, which is overall good right now across southern Wisconsin. But our Future Track visibility model showing a little bit of patchy dense fog tonight, but we're not expecting as dense a fog as we saw last night because the rain will be falling to the ground, and that should help to keep the fog from building up, at least widespread dense fog. As we go into Saturday, we have improved visibilities, but look at Saturday night as we go towards 10, 11 wee hours of Sunday morning. That perfect recipe, just like last night. That's warm air moving over still a relatively cold or wet or cool or wet surface. Light winds, that spells dense fog potential. And then the temperatures will take a dip as we go from Tuesday going on into Wednesday. Notice how cold those temperatures get. A weather system, just take note of that green line there, is going to follow to our south, and that should keep the best chances for precipitation as we transition from Tuesday and Wednesday to our south, and then cold going into 2025.
And coming up in sports, it's a big game on Sunday for the Packers. Why Jordan Love says a win will go a long way for his team in the postseason. That's next on News 3 Now. The top three teams record-wise in the NFC are the Lions, the Vikings, and the Eagles. And all three have something in common. They've all beaten the Packers this season. Well, that streak could change on Sunday when Green Bay takes on Minnesota. And a win over their NFC North rival would give the Pack their first signature win of the season. And you don't have to tell Jordan Love just how important this game is.
Yeah, badly. Obviously, we only have one more chance here this week. So definitely, like I've talked about before, we got to be able to go win these games against the really good teams in the league and, set ourselves up for kind of the situation we'll be in for the playoffs, on the road playing good teams. So definitely a good test this week.
Meanwhile, a pair of former Badgers have found new homes after entering the transfer portal. Braden Locke announced he's committed to Arizona next season after throwing for over 2,700 yards and 18 touchdowns in 16 games at Wisconsin. Former teammate C.J. Williams is also headed out west. Williams will play at Stanford next year. The holiday face-off tournament has been good to the Badger men's hockey team. Wisconsin has won 2 of the last 3 titles, including last year's championship, where they posted back-to-back shutouts. Up first for the reigning champs, a date with Ferris State tomorrow. And after a 2-week break, you could say Mike Hastings' squad is excited to be back to practice and looking forward to a trip to Pfizer Forum to defend their crown.
How can you not be excited about playing in a Christmas tournament where you're playing for a championship, right? You don't get that very often in a regular season when you talk about college hockey. So it's a little different. It's a prep that if we are fortunate at the end of the year to find a way to get to the NCAA tournament, it's a little bit of the dry run like that. You're playing in a different place, a neutral site. You've got a different schedule. So I think it's a great opportunity for us that we want to capitalize on.
And just a reminder to check out this week's special edition of Wisconsin Huddle. We take a look back at the show's best segments over the last 14 weeks. Show airs in just a couple of minutes right here on News 3 Now. And it's a lot of me losing at things or making a fool of myself. So.
Your year-ender special for the Wisconsin Huddle. And our year is ending with colder temperatures on the horizon, but right now a lot of rain.
Rain and extremely mild temperatures. Yeah, and we will transition. I'll show you the 10-day here in just a second to temperatures where they should be for this time of year. Nothing like that tonight as these showers move in from the south and from the west. Future track radar showing widespread rain all night long across southern Wisconsin. Quarter to maybe as much as a half-inch of water is expected overnight tonight. And the melting will continue too as temperatures stay and hover right around 40 degrees for an overnight low temperature. But once we get past New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, weather system will swing to our south. Not thinking that weather system will get us, but then we get the cold right after that.
All right, Alex, thanks. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 6. Have a great evening. We'll be back here tonight for News 3 Now at 10.